Hello, I'm Beelzebub, and welcome to a new day in the live stream. I'm going to have a little trouble talking because today has been a particularly difficult day to breathe for me. I've been having more trouble than usual for about a week now, and it seems to have gotten considerably worse today. Uh, so about a week ago, I started getting over a cold. Um, which whatever. It is possible to be sick with something other than COVID-19. Other viruses didn't go away just because this one became more prevalent. Then I started feeling kind of like I have bronchitis. It's something I've had before, and usually it goes away fairly well on its own. I told you I'd have a little trouble breathing, so bear with me, please. But I was having too much trouble breathing, if that makes any sense to anybody out there. I've had bronchitis after my asthma diagnosis over a decade ago. And, I've had bronchitis since and never really had this much trouble breathing. About a week ago, I took one of the rapid PCRs for COVID. One of the ones that you have the results in about 45 minutes. And the nurse told me that those are not the most reliable. There have been instances of false negatives, which I think is kind of what I encountered. Because I'm having some COVID symptoms. Let me just run through the Google list. I'm coughing more than usual, more shortness of breath and difficulty breathing than usual. I'm more fatigued than usual. I've got chronic pain, so I don't know if I want to include that with the muscle or body aches. My sense of smell and taste has come back for the most part. Hey, Andrew, welcome. So I've got that positive going for me. I can taste and smell the things I'm eating again. And I'm sorry if this is kind of disgusting for everybody out there, but I'm going through a list of potential COVID symptoms. I have been having a little diarrhea lately. Well, I also have a few of the more severe, the emergency warning signs, which sent me to the hospital. I've got more trouble than usual breathing. I'm feeling pressure in my chest. I don't know if I want to say I'm feeling confused, but my attention span drops all the way to zero. My situational awareness drops to zero. I'm incapable of paying attention to my surroundings. I don't have trouble staying awake, although I have had to take naps lately, which is unusual for me. But I'm sleeping longer than usual, about 9 or 10 hours a night, opposed to, yes, and you're foggy. I'm feeling kind of foggy too. But I usually a good night sleep for me is 7 or 8 hours. I'm getting 9, 10, sometimes 11 hours of sleep. And I'm waking up feeling like it's not enough. So I called the VA, as I do. And, they have a nurse line, which is really helpful. And I described what was going on to the nurse that answered the phone. And she said that the recommendations the doctors were giving me was to go to an emergency room, which I did. So I get there with all these potentially COVID-like symptoms, and I'm just in the general waiting room, which seems kind of stupid, because it is possible that I have COVID. I had long-term exposure to someone who had COVID a ballpark of a month ago. Constant exposure to someone with COVID, I should say. And I'm in the waiting room with everyone else. I'm not segregated from everyone else. So that was kind of dumb. But they get me into triage. They do an AKG, and I guess the nurse said it looked normal enough. Hi, Treatel. You missed the bulk of the live stream, but that's cool. You can go back and watch what you missed. But basically, discussing the possibility that I have COVID, which is yay. So after I get triaged and have a normal-ish looking EKG, I spend about another 2 hours in the waiting room. Then I get back and they give me the good PCR test, I guess, because as I mentioned, the nurse told me that the rapid PCR kind of sucks and can give off false negatives. She gave me the good one. And I'm kind of being generous with the word good, because that fucker was uncomfortable. They took a swab and shoved it way in. But that I will hear back tomorrow at the earliest with answer as to whether I have COVID or not. Until then, I have a diagnosis of bronchitis. That may or may not hold water. Yeah, pretty much. Right there, Andrew. That's pretty much it. But the doctor prescribed prednisone I forgot to mention that I had a X-ray. As I said, difficulty concentrating. So, but the nurse who was in charge of taking care of me, because you only ever see a doctor once or twice in an ER. At least that's my experience at the hospital where I live. And she told me that my lungs, like they're just I'm trying to remember what it was she said was collapsed. Like the smaller airways in my lungs were collapsed, which is great. So I'm on prednisone for that. It's a steroid that's supposed to help with breathing, which I'm not doing a great job of right now. And I'm on doxycycline. Not totally sure why. Doxycycline. Can treat and prevent infections. Okay. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, so for now, that's what I've got going on. You just gotta. Ugh, that's not a tired yawn, by the way. That's an I can't breathe yawn. But yeah, I'm hoping this is just a really shitty bout of bronchitis and not COVID, because my lung function is compromised badly enough just with asthma, but we'll see. And I'll, proceed however I have to. If the test for COVID does come back positive, because this test, they really dug in to, get to the root of where the majority of virus would be as far as that testing goes. I don't know if I'm making sense right now. I don't think I am. Thanks, Beej. I'm hoping they work fast too. But yeah, I will definitely let everybody know the results when I get the good PCR test for COVID, the really good one that has less of a chance of giving a false negative. I mean, I spent a lot of time around someone with COVID for a couple of weeks, and to think that I somehow dodged that bullet is silly to me. It doesn't make sense. I've got a pretty good immune system, but it's impossible it's that good. All right, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I probably won't give that its own live stream, especially if it's negative. I'll probably just post it on Twitter. And for those of you who are not following me on Twitter, all you'll have to do is follow my link tree in the description box, and that'll get you where you're going to, find the news. I doubt that I'll do another live stream if it's positive, but you never know. So that I think is going to do it for this one. I'm having way too much trouble breathing, and I'm going to throw on my CPAP mask and turn the machine on. Usually that makes breathing slightly easier, although unfortunately not too much, because all it really does is force air into my lungs, nothing much else. But yeah, so I'm gonna hop off here. Hope everybody has a good night, and a little bit of selfishness. Hope I don't have COVID. So, but yeah, follow the link tree. I know I need my rest, but I got to whore myself a little bit. If you wouldn't mind helping me out a little bit, uh, shit, I lost my train of thought. Patreon will help me out a lot. Little bit of income would be fantastic. Yeah, Apostle Babe, I know you said you're kidding, but I actually did go to the hospital earlier. Yeah. So, yeah. Everybody be safe out there. I know I don't really have to say this to my audience, but wear a mask. Apostle Babe, they prescribed prednisone and doxycycline. But yeah, I'm gonna head off and get some sleep. So take it easy, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.